Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about variables and data types. So before we get started, let me just explain why you might see STD just like this. Basically, I'll be talking about it in a later tutorial, but this is called inheritance. So you're basically taking the cout function, which prints to the console, and you're basically inheriting from this. So let's just, for now, this isn't good practice in the real world because you'll run into probably naming conventions and just all sorts of things. So, but for small projects and little projects for yourself, YouTube videos, whatever, it's easier just to get rid of that, and then now we have cout. But we need to get this from somewhere. So what you're gonna want to do is put using namespace std. So basically now we're just automatically inheriting the entire set of rules, library, classes, just everything that STD has to offer, which is standard. So now let's talk about variables. Variables are used to hold information. So for example, let's just say a car. So we're making a car. What are some variables a car might have? It might have the amount of gas it has left, the amount of wheels it has. The car itself might be an object with all this stuff on it. You have total miles of the entire car's lifetime. You have the car's name, make, model. These are all variables that something a car would have. So let's just use car as an example. So we're not going to talk about objects that store all of this data together, but we'll just talk about, we'll break it down. So let's say you have, so if you want to use a string, let's just include, you're going to want to include it first using with C# or C++, sorry. So now we can use strings. So let's say we have a car model, and we can either set it to nothing or we can set it right away. So we can just say Toyota. So now we have a Toyota car model. So we can probably get rid of this now. But so string, that's just text, small information. There's also a character, which is car, which is going to be just a single character. So we can say make, or I don't know what would be good, but let's just say initial. So the initial of the car, that would have to be set to T, something like T, right? So we're storing just a character, a single character. So what about some sort of numbers or doubles or just an integer in general? An integer is just going to be with no decimal points to make it easy. So integer total miles, let's just set that to something like 100, 1, 2, 3, so 100,000. So an integer is just going to be pretty much a whole number. So there's also something called a double, which is going to be way more precise. So we can probably do something like gas left. Whoops. So gas left. We'll set this to a double. So let's just say 10.25. So 10 gallons and a quarter. So now we have that. So these are just some basic data types, which these are the data types: string, character, integer, double. There's plenty more. And then we're assigning it a name. And then we are also assigning it a value. So Toyota T, and the total miles and the gas left. So now that we have these variables, we can actually access them in our program, which these are all local to main, this is the function which returns an int. So return 0, which is just telling the program it's done. So let's just do cout is outputting something to the console. So let's say car model, and then now we're going to actually use the car model, which will just end the line this way. So now this is a string we're just making up, so we're outputting that. And then what happens is we actually put the variable name here. Let's save it and run it, see what happens. So now hopefully we get a Toyota as our car model. So now you can see we're actually taking this exact variable's name. So this is stored somewhere in your RAM, so there's a location for this, and we're actually setting it to Toyota. So it's very useful when you want to save information and use it for later. So we can also do something like this, put a comma or something, and then just say total And then we could also add our total miles. Now what should happen when we save and run this? We should hopefully see the total amount of miles that a car has as well. So we're monitoring a car that we have. So let's just say you wanted to make a car monitoring software. Here we go. We're just getting the make, and we're also getting the total miles. So it's extremely powerful. And in our last video, we talked about cout and cin. So what if we wanted to change a variable by someone's user input? So for example, cout. Let's just say change car. So let's just say this wasn't a function that let you change the car. So we'll cout that. And then let's take in some user input, and let's actually set it to car model. Then let's copy this and paste it here. So now we should say, oh, we have the car Toyota with 100,000 miles. Now, if we're asking the user to change the car to whatever model they put in, we'll see what happens next. So let's save that and compile. Yeah, variables are extremely helpful with storing data. So let's just change it to Honda. Now look at that. Now we actually changed our exact variable. So now when you keep continuing down the program, it's going to be Honda. So, you know, manipulating your variables is super important. It's very helpful. I think this is a good brief understanding, or a brief overview, my bad. So we can elaborate on this in the next video, where we're going to be talking about conditional statements like if statements, and then we'll probably go on to loops after that. So hopefully you have a better understanding of some basic variable types, and you should give this a try. Try making the same exact little piece of code here. Try to have a user select a model and, you know, maybe change it, and then maybe output their changes and see where you can go from there. So thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe. See ya.